It's about the subject of the debate is that religion will continue forever. So I am not going to debate whether God exists or God does not exist, because it's immaterial to tonight's discussion. But he's made a few points. Philosophy is worthless. We've been running a philosophy cafe now for almost 4 years, and there's a bit of truth in that statement. He said beliefs must be based on physical evidence. I buy that. Of course I buy it. But that's not the argument. Because that's an argument for the existence or non-existence of God. Right? Our argument, and I repeat, is whether religion will last forever or not. And I've given my arguments to say it will last forever. And they are a projection into the future. So you cannot base projections into the future on physical evidence, on empirical evidence, because you can't get that evidence. It's not there of the future. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So you can only argue from logical sequence of beliefs and different arguments. Now, our friend says we use the cortex for our reasoning processes. I like to think that I've used my cortex too. Oh, and from that, I couldn't read it. From that, our morals come from our reasoning. Right? Now, if you think about the moral systems that we have in this world, right, you must confess that at least those statements I read out from the Bible make a lot of sense. Right? You've got to believe the teachings of Catholicism or early Christianity make a lot of sense. They were distorted by the church fathers, both in the process, even in the early days. My good friend up the road is doing history, and she's right now on Constantinople. And Constantine, who is the reason, incidentally, why most of us are Christians, Constantine was one of the most evil bastards you can find. He slaughtered people by the thousands. He killed his brother's son, his wife, and his wife's son, and every other emperor that opposed him. And he is the reason why we are now most Christians, because he brought Christianity to the Roman Empire. Now, if we use that history, we're in deep trouble. I didn't use the history of religion. I'm very disconcerting. I use the history of logical argument, which the needs we have as human beings create within us a need for consolation in times of grief, which I don't think Mr. Dawkins has got us that yet. It brings us to a whole series of statements that I drew from the Bible, which common sense will bring them to, reason will bring those sorts. Humanity must behave within itself that way, the way that you find in many religions. Don't harm another. The Jainism of 10,000 years before Christ is a very, very strong, powerful country. But it came from religion. The beliefs that we need a spirituality. Now, I haven't argued very strongly that we are a spiritual people, that the human race is spiritual. Well, 1 minute. God, what am I going to say for 1 minute? But I'll make an attempt to argue that we are a spiritual people, that we, the human race, is spiritual. I think a fair percentage of us in the room tonight would believe in ESP, extrasensory perception. A fair percentage of us would believe that there are things out there that we could not fully understand. That there are things that you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't know where those thoughts came from, or that dream came from. You can't explain it, right? There are things out there, and I'll argue very strongly for this, that we cannot fully understand. Now, I'm not saying that's God or an afterlife or anything like that. I was just saying, and all I'm saying is we are spiritual and we can't avoid it. And there are things that rationality cannot explain to us. Most of them, and the strongest argument is in future years there'll always be a new leader coming up, creating a new religion. The fastest growing religion in the US in the decade just ended was the Baha'i faith. There was religion, well, I wrote it down, that is also fast growing, but I actually can't remember it. I've written it down here, but I'm not going to recall it.
Islam?
No, a religion whose name you've never heard of. That's it. We will always need these fellows. Thank you very much.